Urban Dictionary defines a lolcow as a phenomena usually observed on forums and or image boards. A person, most often someone who tries to look exceedingly knowledgeable in the topic discussed, is being flamed/trolled to the point where they can no longer present sane arguments that will fit their level, but yet are too proud to just quit. This produces a considerable amount of lols and win, for which the said person can be milked until they finally give up or drop dead, hence the name. Now, why am I talking about lolcows? There's a few reasons why I want to talk about this concept of lolcow, but it comes down to like the main reason that I kind of thought to have this conversation actually started with the Vulpes Noct video I did, the video about the guy that tried to fire back at Bucky from Pal World for saying that he was wrong in stating something because like maybe he wasn't wrong, but the way he said it really was wrong. But also it kind of goes into the pirate software situation a little bit, specifically around the fact that I released a video where I said that I put in a FOIA request for files related to this alleged swatting of pirate software, this swatting that he claims happened multiple times over the last year, and some of the comments that came with that of, why do you care? And that really forced me to ask the question of, why do I care? Not in the sense of me not knowing why I care, but me having to really explain, me trying to figure out the proper way to explain why things like this matter to me, why this is something that I actually think needs to be discussed a little bit, and the difference between things like online harassment and just the consequences of your actions, kind of thing. Because there is a very significant difference between what some people perceive as harassment and what is sometimes in reality just a rational reaction to the thing that you did, and what some people receive as a rational response to a thing that someone did and what is actually harassment. So I'm going to go over a little bit of the things and the reason why I think some of the things that Pirate Software did are actually pretty bad. But before I get to that, I should be getting the results. I put in the FOIA request. I also put in a request to the sheriff's department in the city that Pirate Software lives in for any results related to any publicly available information related to alleged swatting claims. I should be getting that back soon. So if you want to see the video that I put out there, I will put out a video on that, whether it turns out those claims are true or false. Either way, I believe, and honestly, I believe in putting out the truth, and I'm not going to not put something out just because it doesn't fit the narrative that I want to have, kind of thing. But if you want to see that when it comes out, subscribe to this channel, Runga Extra. Now, I'm going to start by establishing a few things. One, there is a difference between being egotistical and even lying for the purpose of bolstering your reputation, for the purpose of hubris, for getting more attention, or for to even build clout and build an audience, and then using that reputation and those lies and misrepresentations to impact people, especially negatively. It's like, basically, it's one thing to say, I'm awesome, and it's another thing to say, I'm awesome, so you should do this thing for me, or I'm awesome, so you should do this thing to hurt that person. Those are two different things. If someone just wants to lie and bolster their own ego and talk about how great they are, and it's really just to get an audience and to get people to like them, I mean, a lot of that's kind of not an uncommon thing. People do that all the time. People exaggerate stories. It's a fish tale. It's a fish story. There's truth to it. It's not necessarily true. And the response to that should be basically just to ignore that person. I mean, if you feel compelled to call them out for their lies because it's egregious, because there are some lies that are just too much. Lying and claiming you have some sort of disease that you don't have, that something horrible has happened to you that would otherwise be a very sensitive topic, or some other sort of lie that really hits those sensitive topics that you shouldn't make fun of, you shouldn't lie about, you shouldn't joke about. For instance, like there's been cases of people in the past claiming to have mental illness. There's someone who wrote a book that claimed to have mental illness. It came out that came to have like depression, anxiety. It came out that he didn't have it, and he was just using it for clout. That is something that actually does do harm to the communities you're trying to be associated with. So don't do that. But other than that, if someone is just kind of bolstering themselves up, who cares? Just don't watch them. If you want to call them out a little bit and say, hey, I know you're full of shit, fine. But the best thing you can do is just not watch them. If they don't get an audience, they don't get an audience. And for some people, they enjoy that. Some people, they get legitimate entertainment out of that. So let them do their thing. And a lot of times people are just playing a character. So let them do their thing. But the moment you start hurting people, that's when it becomes a problem. And that's when you need to be called out. That's when people need to call out that person. There's also a difference between being attacked and corrected. So with the Vulpes Knox situation specifically, one of the things I mentioned in that video is that he tried to claim that Bucky sent an angry mob after him. But all Bucky did was correct him. This guy tried to act like he was the victim of unfair hate and unfair attention and an unfair attack, unfair harassment. But the only thing Bucky did in that, and try to blame Bucky for it, but the only thing Bucky did in that situation was correct him. If you can't handle being corrected online, don't say things online. And there is the unfortunate fact. I'll get to this in a second. But I'm going to get to this. I'm going to say this first. There's also a difference between being harassed and being called out for bad behavior. If someone is saying, hey, you realize this thing you did is an asshole move. By the way, you know that this other thing you did is an asshole move. You did a bunch of things that are asshole moves. And that's basically what they're saying. If they're not taking it further than just telling you what you did, that doesn't necessarily meet harassment. Now, if they're sending you endless DMs, they're making spam accounts, they're doing this, they're doing that, that does rise to the level of harassment. But when it's just a bunch of individual people all telling you that what you did was an asshole move, that's not being harassed, that's being called out for bad behavior. It just so happens that if you're in the public sphere, a lot of people are going to see your bad behavior, and a lot of people are going to want to call you out for it. So there is a distinct difference there. At the same time, there is a difference between calling someone out for bad behavior and potentially correcting someone and actively harassing them. If someone did something like, say, someone steps on my toe, I'm walking down the street, someone steps on my toe, and I say, hey, buddy, you stepped on my toe, I'm not harassing them. But if I follow them home and I throw eggs at their house and TP their house and light poop on fire on their front porch, that's not calling them out for bad behavior. That is now me being an asshole and me harassing them and me engaging in worse behavior. That fits online too. If you want to call someone out for bad behavior, if you want to make a Twitter post or comment on their video or correct someone with the same thing, or make a YouTube video or make a TikTok or make whatever it is, and you want to call someone out for their bad behavior, or even get into their stream and say, hey, by the way, I don't appreciate the thing that you did there. That is one thing. It can go too far, but at the very least, what you are doing is proportionate to the thing that they did, hopefully. Or the thing that you believe that they did. But when you start leaving hate and you start spam messaging them and you start harassing them and you start doing things like swatting them, that is way too far. That's a disproportionate response. They might have done something wrong, but they didn't do something necessarily to deserve that harassment. And I'll get into a bit later too, but that doesn't really solve the problem more often than not. It doesn't really fix the issue. It just kind of causes a person to double down on the things that they're believing. Now, one of the things I do want to call attention to here too, and this goes both ways. This will go both to an obligation that content creators have, but also something content creators have to respect, is content creators exist on any level. Whether you're a brand new YouTuber, a brand new TikToker, you have 0 subscribers, or you are one of the biggest content creators in the world that has the most subscribers in the world. I don't know who it is at this point. Mr. Beast probably on YouTube and someone on Twitch, I'm not sure. You have to accept the fact that you exist in the public space. You exist in the public sphere. You exist online. And you have to accept, because you chose to do that more likely than not, unless you're one of these kids that, you know, their family's forcing them to do toy reviews or some other cringe channel like that, you exist in the public space by your own, in the public sphere by your own decision. So you have to accept the consequences that come with that, good and bad, and you kind of have to accept the responsibilities that come with that, good and bad. And that is a big thing. So to get into that, here's some of the stuff that comes with that. One, you're going to have, people will do things, people will buy things, people will believe things because you're a content creator that they respect on this topic. They trust that you did the research, they trust that you know what you're talking about, or they just like you and respect you enough and they think that you're intelligent enough on the topic that they're going to believe these things because you said them. And they're going to react to things because you said them. This isn't necessarily everyone. Not everyone online is that susceptible to having their mind controlled by mere comments. But it is a thing that some people do. It is a thing that some people react to in a way that some people behave. They take the views of the people that they respect, and you are a person that they respect potentially. And they're going to react because of that. And some people are going to react very poorly. It's also one of the reasons why, personally, I try to avoid talking about politics as much as possible, because I recognize that there have been people, like I get it on my main channel, there's people that if I say something about a Nintendo drama or whatever, they kind of just believe me because they trust me that I did the research. But and there's people I know that like trust me enough that they might take my opinion and consider it fact or consider it more valid than other opinions, just in my personal life and on the online space on certain things. That's just a product of like the human existence and the way interpersonal relationships work and the way parasocial relationships work. So I personally, I avoid talking about politics because I don't think it is my place or my position to what sways someone else's political beliefs. One, because I'm probably not as informed on the thing as I should be if I wanted to speak with certainty, to speak with power. And I don't, it's, who the fuck am I to tell you what to believe? And who the fuck am I to sway what you should be doing and what you should be believing? If I'm going to say something, I'm going to say something that has evidence more often than not. And if I'm going to say an opinion-based thing, I'm going to state my opinion. This video is opinion-based. There's facts, there's evidence that will be dropped or at least mentioned, but ultimately the conclusions I'm coming to are opinion-based conclusions. Now, we're going to get into why that matters in terms of lolcows and in terms of why all this matters in terms of why I think the pirate software situation is particularly problematic. Why I think the criticism he gets and the fact that he has become a lolcow online is particularly problematic, and people need to actually address it. So to the people that are asking why you care about this, why are you putting so much effort into this, I'm going to get to why. This is why. Like I said, people will do things, people react things, people will buy products that content creators shill and that public figures shill because they trust that person, they respect that person based on the reputation that they built. Pirate Software spent a lot of time and still spends a lot of time trying to build this reputation as this mythological god of programming, god of coding, game designer. And he does it through kind of nefarious ways. Is he a game designer? Sure, he has games out there, or he has a game out there at the very least that's finished and one unfinished one. But some of the ways that he did this were by twisting the truth, misrepresenting the truth, saying things in such a way that he's not lying, but he's leading you to a different conclusion than what the truth is. For instance, very often he talks about his time at Blizzard. Some of the times when he talks about his time at Blizzard, he will mention the fact that he worked in QA. But a lot of the times I've seen shorts, videos, whatever, where he mentions working at Blizzard, he just mentions that he works at Blizzard. So when you tie the fact that he's an active game dev, that he is making a game, he talks about himself as a game dev, he marks himself as a game dev, and he said he worked at Blizzard, that implies that he worked at Blizzard as a game dev. That gives him clout in the gaming space. That makes people trust him more in the gaming space and makes people think he's more capable of finishing work in the gaming space. He does the same thing with Amazon Studios. At Amazon Studios, from my understanding, he didn't work as a game dev either. He worked in automation. So he says things to make people think that he's this really experienced, really good game dev that you can trust, but in reality, he doesn't have all that much experience, which, sure, that might be fine, but one of the things that he did with that reputation is he sold, by some estimates, 130,000 units of a game that started production, I believe, in 2018, and still hasn't been finished. And it's not that detailed of a game. It's not like an insane game. It's not World of Warcraft. It's not Dark Souls. It's nothing that should take that long, but he managed to sell 130,000 copies of it, and that was done in significant part, no doubt, based off his reputation, based off the myth that he has built around himself as this brilliant game designer, and based on taking advantage of people that trusted him, his audience. He also has used this reputation as a god-tier programmer, as someone who knows a lot about the industry, to attack other people. There's cases of him insulting, people's coding and this and that and blah, blah, blah. But one of the big ones is the attack of Stop Killing Games. People trusted him. People trusted that he knew very intimately this business, this community, the gaming space, the industry is the word I was looking for, and that his word should be trusted very highly. And admittedly, at the time that he first put out his Stop Killing Games video, his very first one, I was one of those people that believed him, because at the time I hadn't really done a lot of research on the thing myself. So when I saw him do a video, I was like, oh shit, I trust him. He knows what he's talking about. I hadn't done a lot of research into him. I just watched his stuff. He knows what and made the mistake of trusting the things that he said. and made the mistake of saying, oh, if this is what he's saying, why would he lie to me about this? He's a trustworthy source. I believe him. So I didn't support the Stop Killing Games thing when it first came out. It actually started kind of an argument with me and a buddy. Not too much of an argument, but we went back and forth ultimately it turned out I was wrong. But he's using this clout, this reputation that he built around himself that is based on misrepresentations and lies, or alleged lies, potential lies, at the very least misrepresentations, to hurt someone else, to hurt a different thing, and specifically to hurt something that he didn't even really bother to understand. He denied conversations with Ross. He denied talking to people. He didn't want to accept any argument that didn't further his own belief about the thing because he didn't want to admit that he was wrong. And he was allowing his ego and his his falsely built reputation to damage something that didn't deserve to be damaged. He was willing to hurt someone because of that. And no doubt, because of the way the internet works and because of the size of the audience he had, especially at the time, Ross Scott probably got a lot of harassment for that. He probably had, I'm willing to bet, like if you talk to him today, I'm willing to bet that, yeah, he got some hate messages, he got some hate comments, he got at least some degree of harassment that was caused by Pirate Software making those statements. And it did measurably hurt the initiative. I know someone, I can't remember who did the video. If I remember who it is, I will link it in the description. I can't remember who did the video, but there was someone who did a video that showed, because Pirate Software tried to claim that he had no impact on, and I include these clips in one of my recent videos of Pirate Software. Again, I'll link that one if I can remember which one it is. But Pirate Software tried to claim that he didn't have an effect on the Stop Killing Games initiative, that he had no impact on it, and that he wasn't involved in this. But also, there's evidence showing a potentially measurable impact, a potentially quantifiable impact that he had of the date that he released his video and the decrease in signatures to Stop Killing Games. And he directly said in a previous video, or at least on stream, that he was going to actively tell people not to support it. And because he was who he was at the time, he's not quite that person anymore, but because he was who he was at the time, that had an impact, and that likely caused some harassment. He also recently, in the Ashes of Creations drama, misrepresented something that happened, a conversation that happened with the communications director, also likely driving his audience to hate on her, who did not deserve it. He chose to only show the messages and discuss the things that put him in the best light and put her and the company itself in a bad light. Now, the company itself doesn't deserve a good light. They have a whole thing, but she might not necessarily be a part of that. And either way, he chose not to show the full truth. He chose not to show the context. He chose not to show the nuance. And context and nuance is very important in these things, but he didn't show that. He had all the time in the world to show it. He could have showed it. He chose not to because it would lessen his argument. It would make him less of a victim. And he was willing to direct hate to this innocent person who also might have received harassment. I don't know. I haven't seen anything about it, but I haven't seen anything that said she didn't. And that's not really a great argument, but I haven't looked. I haven't asked. But that doesn't really matter whether or not it happened or not, because he knows well enough that these sorts of things can happen, especially with the Ashes of Creation drama, because that happened recently. The Stop Killing Games thing happened about a year ago, and he recognized that he was getting harassed for the Stop Killing Games stuff, that people that were fans of this thing were going to harass him because of his comments on the Stop Killing Games thing. So he knows how the internet works. He knows how people are going to react to their favorite content creator bashing something or bashing someone, and he still continues to do it, but he wants to complain about it when it happens to him. So hypocrisy, and I can't stand a hypocrite. He also tried to use something that he has refused to give any evidence about, the alleged swatting claims, to emotionally strong-arm that same person and the rest of the people in that that DM conversation. And those DMs leaked. I talked about it in another video on the main channel, I believe. Yeah, that one's on the main channel. I mentioned it casually in the one on this channel. But he used this claim that he has been swatted 6 times or 3 times, however many times it is, to try to emotionally strong-arm them into behaving in a way that he found appropriate. In this case, he accused someone without any good evidence of being a part of the organization that allegedly organized his swatting. Now, claiming you were swatted if you weren't is really messed up. Claiming you were swatting if you were isn't messed up. You're allowed to talk about things that happened to you, but you should probably give evidence if it's something that serious. But I can kind of understand his reasoning for why he doesn't want to give evidence. One of the reasons he said he doesn't want to give evidence is because he doesn't want to encourage more people to do the thing by highlighting that it happened. But he's talking about it. He's actively talking about the fact that it happened, so he's still bringing attention to the fact that it happened, or at least he claims that it happened, without dropping the evidence to prove that it happened, with this excuse of, oh, I don't want to call attention to it, but he's the one that called attention to it multiple times. And now he's trying to use it to strong-arm someone. And one, using it to strong-arm someone, using anything like that to strong-arm someone to behave in a way that you find acceptable, especially against someone that you have no real good reason to believe was associated with that thing that might have happened to you, is not okay. But if it's a lie and now he's using it to strong-arm that person, it's fucking disgusting. It's claiming something horrible happened to you. It's either claiming something horrible happened to you and it did happen to you and then using that to manipulate people, messed up, or claiming something horrible happened to you and it didn't happen to you and using that to manipulate people, which is incredibly fucked up. Messed up to fucked up. Who knows? And the unfortunate thing is, it's hard to believe those claims. I don't want to inherently disbelieve people when they say something bad happened to them. My general belief, the way I respond to it when people say something bad happened to them or someone did something bad to them, is I assume both sides are telling the truth at first, unless I have a reason to trust one person more or distrust one person more. If someone has established themselves as someone who's not trustworthy, then I'm less likely to believe them. And if someone has established themselves as someone who's not likely to behave that way, I'm more likely to believe them, kind of thing. But in general, I will interact with both people as if both of them are telling the truth until I have more information, because I don't want anyone to get hurt over until there's more evidence. That's how I tend to react to it. But the reason I'm not inclined to believe him is because the consistency at which he lies about things. There is a increased consistency at which he lies about things, he misrepresents things. He said at one point that he never had told anyone to not support Stop Killing Games, but there are clips, and I can link, I believe Penguin Zio did a video on it, so I'll find that. I'll link the Penguin Zio one where he talks about it, but he claimed he didn't tell him to stop doing that, to stop supporting Stop Killing Games, but he directly says in his stream that has a lot of people in it that he's going to actively tell people to not support Stop Killing Games. So at the very least, he told everyone in that stream not to support Stop Killing Games. He has claimed that he doesn't talk about being in Blizzard that much. He does. He has claimed that he was not a Nepo baby, and he never was Nepo baby, but in previous videos, he directly claims that he got his job through nepotism. He deletes messages, he deletes posts, he deletes videos. He deletes things that do not paint him in a good light. And I could kind of understand it to an extent of, if you delete something that you put out that was wrong, definitely do that. But it's not always just things that he puts out that are wrong that get deleted. I have a policy of I don't delete comments. I don't, unless they are overly hateful, like bigoted, really messed up shit. And I don't delete videos unless it is the thing I say in the video is wrong enough that people are going to come out more misinformed than they went in. When I say something wrong in a video, and it's happened a few times when I say something wrong in a video and someone calls me out on it and says, oh, you said you're wrong about this, I put a little iCard up there, I put something in the pinned comment that says clarifying this point at this time, and I release a short that the iCard links to that clarifies that issue. Now, if enough of the video is wrong, or the thing that I said was so egregiously wrong that it causes basically the entire video to be wrong, I just delete the video because I don't want to put out misinformation. But I don't want to hide my mistakes. I don't want to try to posit myself as perfect, and I don't delete comments because I don't want to try to build this false world around myself that everyone loves me. I'd rather take the criticism, and I'd rather show that fact that people are hating on me than try to hide it. That's the Streisand effect. You should know this. And I know for a fact that he probably has deleted a lot more stuff because, as I talk about in one of my other videos, and I think two of my other videos about him, I had a conversation with him in his Discord, with his mod and him in his Discord, about the initiative or the petition that I was working on, and he ultimately chose not to support it because he even said that he recognized that him putting his name behind it might actually hurt it. And I'll link that video in the description at the end of the video. But then I put other mod tickets into his Discord. This was through a mod ticket. I put other mod tickets into his Discord, and once the issue was finished, they do the close the ticket thing, and I get sent a transcript of it to my Discord account. That mod ticket didn't get closed. The channel just got deleted so that I wouldn't get that transcript, which leads me to believe there was a reason that he wanted to cover up the fact that that ever happened, that conversation ever happened, which is disingenuous. If you're deleting messages, that is an immediately suspicious thing to me. The moment you start deleting messages, that is suspicious to me. That says you have some malicious intent in my mind. And back to what I said earlier, like he's constantly misrepresenting the truth, saying things in such a way that leads you to the assumption he wants you to believe, but he can come back and say, no, that's not what I said this. And this all kind of turns it from the things that he is saying is about bolstering himself and about building his ego and about building an audience based around these false misrepresentations to him actually doing harm to people and doing harm to things and doing damage with the things that he's saying. It's actively hurting people, so it's no longer a thing that you can just look at and say, oh, well, that doesn't affect anyone, because it is affecting people. And that's why I care. He is actively, the way he acts, the way he behaves, is actively hurting people that often don't deserve it. Because he refuses to admit that he's wrong. He refuses to be truthful and honest with his audience. And that's a problem. And that's one of the reasons why I wanted to get behind and figure out this. I wanted to put in the FOIA request. I wanted to figure out if that was true. Because one, he has used something that is a very serious claim to at least get some amount of attention. And if he's lying about something that serious to get attention, that's fucked up. And he has used it to hurt someone. He has used it to potentially cause other people damage. Or he has at least tried to cause some other people damage. He has used it to try to strong-arm someone into behaving the way that could hurt someone else. And that's not okay, especially if it's not true. Shouldn't do it to begin with, but especially if it's not true, it's not okay. And one of my feelings is, if this evidence comes out and it's proven that he is lying, then hopefully people will be less likely to inherently, because there's still a subset of the people and subset of the people that watch him that just believe the things he says. And people might be less likely to do this because the penny will drop. And if it comes out and it's true, I'll drop the video. I'll not drop the video as in not do the video, but I'll still do the video. I'll still post it out there. And at the very least, that part will be vindicated. It doesn't necessarily change the fact that he is using it as a weapon, but at the very least, it will vindicate that because there are a lot of other people that are saying, oh, this is all bullshit. But as far as I know, no one's actually gotten the evidence about it. Or maybe other people have gotten the evidence and it turns out he was swatted and they just didn't want to drop it because their brand is Hate Pirate Software. I don't want my brand to be hate anyone. I want my brand to be hate the facts that deserve to be hated. So if there's something that is being done that is bad, I will hate that. At the same time, he's doing a great job for like the ferret rescue. He's whether he's doing it genuinely or doing it before clout, I don't know. But at the very least, he is doing some good things. He's promoting indie devs. He's trying to help people, get out of their shell and get out of their comfort zone to create something that might change their life. He's trying to help animals in need of rescue. So I'm not going to deny good things, and I'm not going to deny evidence of good or evidence that is vindicating just because I might think the guy's an asshole. So that video is going to come out, and one way or another. Make sure, again, to subscribe if you want to see it when it comes out. And that's kind of where I'm at with him. I also want to get into the case of Volpasnacht because that is another situation. That he's the one that, went after Bucky because Bucky corrected him on something. Essentially, he said something on a Twitter post that if you read it through his poor or their poor typing, their poor grammar, all that stuff, you can see that they might have been telling the truth. But when I first read it, it didn't seem like he's telling the truth. Bucky responded, said that's incorrect, and this person just lost it. This person crashed all the way the fuck out and posted a few messages, claimed that an attack mob was sent after him or sent after them. And that's just, again, this person, even if they have a small audience, if you're online, if you're posting things online, you're existing in public. If you're existing in public, you have to expect the public to react to things that you do. If you critique something or you say something wrong in public and then someone corrects you also in public because you said this thing in public and that bears negative consequences, you did that to you. Now, I don't think it's good for people to go harass someone. It's one thing for people to put out the corrections and say, no, this is wrong. It's one if people wanted to talk about it in other spaces, and call this guy an asshole in other spaces, that's a completely different thing because that's not direct harassment. But if it is true that people were just starting to spam him with hate messages, spam him with hate comments, and just going out of the way to harass him in a way that is disproportionate to what he did, which was just be a little bit of an asshole online, that's not okay. Don't do that. Don't do that for several reasons. And unfortunately, and genuinely, unfortunately, it seems that man has, or that person, they're they, it appears that person has deleted their Twitter account. They might have created a new one that just has a different name so they're not getting harassed. But it's kind of sad that it got pushed to that point because, yeah, well, the guy had a crash out. That doesn't necessarily mean that that they're a bad person. They just had a crash out. It happens. Don't harass them. Don't if they were posting like straight up hate and just straight up vitriol and really cruel and evil things consistently, then maybe they would have deserved it a little bit more. But I don't think that's really the response. And I'm going to get to that here in a second. But basically some key takeaways from this is people can understand when you're wrong. I have been wrong. I have posted videos where things are wrong. I post the corrections, I post the pin comment, and almost invariably, when I post those corrections and pin comments, I get a lot of responses to that and a lot of comments on that say, good job owning up to your mistake. I respect that. It makes you more trustworthy. Because I'm willing to admit when I'm wrong. And when people know that you're willing to admit when you're wrong, what you say is more trustworthy because they know that if it turns out you were wrong, you will own up to it. But if you double down, people will lose respect for you. People will lose trust in you because nothing that you say holds any weight anymore because even if you're wrong, they know you wouldn't admit it. And at the same time, don't lie. Because if you lie about something or you misrepresent something, people will find out. And people will lose respect and trust for you. And definitely don't lie about something that can be proven false with DMs. Like, that's just stupid. Don't lie about stuff that can be so easily misproven. Don't lie at all, but don't lie about stuff that can be so easily misproven because now not only do you seem like a liar, you seem like an idiot. That's just bad. And basically just always tell the truth, even the parts of the truth that are bad for you. Because if you're willing to tell the parts of the truth that are bad for you, one, that's an integrity move, have integrity, but also it establishes trust because if you are showing the parts that are bad for you along with the parts that are good for you, people know that you're telling the whole story. But also, don't be a dick. If someone said something that you know to be false, feel free to correct them. Feel free to make a comment, make a Twitter post, go into the stream, say that they were wrong about something, make a YouTube video. Do those things that you feel are necessary for something that you realized was wrong and that you need to correct. If you want to call someone out for bad behavior, go ahead, make a video, make a TikTok, make a comment saying, hey, dude, I think you were being an asshole right there. But don't have a disproportionate response, right? Don't. And especially because, like, one, to the content creators that get mad when people are making content about them, do you get the irony of that? Do you understand the irony of especially if you're someone that has made content that has attacked someone or something, and then you want to get mad when people are doing the same thing to you? Height of hypocrisy, my guy. Height of hypocrisy. You exist online. You know this is happening, and you're willing to do it. So you should accept the fact that it's going to happen to you. But that should stop when it becomes harassment. It should be about the facts. It should be about the issue at hand. It should not be about making the person feel unsafe, about actually potentially hurting the person, or about just actually attacking the person, saying things that don't matter, making spam accounts to continue to harass them, making like 1,000 hateful posts, sending them 1,000,000 DMs, and doing things that are not productive and that are just really you just trying to make yourself feel better because you're hurting someone. Don't do it. One, don't do it because it's an asshole thing to do, but also don't do it because it doesn't solve the problem. In the case of Vulpus Knock, yeah, that person deleted their account, but I'm willing to bet that person hasn't changed their beliefs at all. They haven't changed their mindset at all because it's a common psychological thing to when your beliefs are challenged so aggressively and without compassion, you're more likely to double down on them than you are to change them. So yeah, that person might have deleted their account. They probably created a new account, but now you have made them worse. The people that did those harassing messages to them and started spamming them and doing all that have made them worse. It's very possible, I don't know how likely it is, but it's very possible that if the initial response to Pirate Software saying the wrong thing about Stop Killing Games was a a more calm discourse without all of the harassment that happened and all the hate that happened and the spam and blah 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 and the hate messages, he might have been more willing to change his mind on it. He might have been more willing to sit down and have those conversations and change his mind on the topic. I don't personally believe that would have happened with him particularly, just because of the way he's posited himself. He doesn't seem like he's willing to admit that he's wrong, but it's a thing that could have happened. So, but it was potentially ruined by the harassment. So your goal should be to improve people and improve the world, not to make it worse. So don't be a dick. But that's really all I got, man. That's all I got. I wanted to talk about this because I wanted to explain why these things matter to me. I care when people are hurting people. I care when people are misrepresenting things and causing damage to people. These are the types of things that matter to me. If the entirety of who Pirate Software was just someone who bragged a lot online and talked about how great he was, I might think, oh, dude, that dude's an asshole. And he might still garner a few videos that are like, dude, look at what this dude said, blah, blah, blah. But he probably would not get nearly the level of hate that he did. And I wouldn't care. I really wouldn't if it was just him talking about how great he was. But it's not. Him talking about how great he is has led to actual damage to people and things. At least that's what it appears to be. At least with the Stop Killing Games thing, because it might have done a lot better earlier if not for that. But with that, I leave you here. Again, please subscribe to this channel. Please subscribe to my storytelling channel. It's where I tell stories that are very cathartic to me. Military stuff, life stuff, a whole bunch of different stuff. I'm going to start reading Reddit stories because I really enjoy that. I really enjoy reacting to other people's stories. But with that, I'm out. Have a wonderful day. Subscribe, like, comment, hype. Tell me you love me. Tell me you hate me. Critique me. I don't care. Goodbye.